are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
32 minutes, 21 seconds. 5-second tone followed by a 1-second pause.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Okay, gang, let's go.
From the space city called Houston, Texas, welcome to Spaceboy Universe, featuring Spaceboy and the lovely Surlana. So strap in and prepare for launch sequence.
Greetings and salutations. I'm Spaceboy,
I'm Surlana.
and this is Spaceboy Universe. It is March 11, 2017, and this is show 126. Surlana, I've mic'd you down so you can talk. Yeah, Surlana's got a little tickle in her throat. It is going to be a great topic tonight because tonight we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence. That's right, artificial intelligence, AI. As always, if you want to follow us, you can do so at Twitter. That's at the SB Universe. Follow Surlana at Surlana. You can follow me, Spaceboy, at Spaceboy Music. And, of course, follow the network that provides you all this wonderful content from Spaceboy Universe all the way down to Quantum Hologram Matrix. And that is the SBU.
What?
Oh, hold on just a second. I just got tongue-tied.
What are you saying over there?
I was describing our... I always... I don't have that
the
right.
The SB Universe.
Let me write this down.
SBU Network.
The SBU...
For Twitter.
Network for Twitter. That's
so
what
at the SB Universe, at the SBU Network, SpaceboyUniverse.com, SB.
Right now I'm only concerned about the Twitter part. So it's the SBU Network, correct? Just confirm, yes, no,
it's
so I can get on.
It's hysterical that you don't know that.
Well, I didn't have it on my script over here, so is that correct?
At the SB Universe, I'll stick it in it. Although I think everybody in chat already knows.
First off, I know about the universe. I'm more concerned about the network that brings you all this fine quality of arguments.
You're gonna make me cough so freaking hard.
The SBU Network, correct?
You got me doubting it.
At the SBU Network.
At the SBU Network.
Okay, good. I'm moving on. And now, speaking of Twitter, remember to hashtag your tweets with hashtag SB Universe and hashtag Space Cadets. And, of course, you can also do hashtag marital angst. Hang out with the Space Cadets by going to...
I'll give you $1 if you hashtag marital angst.
Hang out with the Space Cadets by going to spaceboyuniverse.com, and in the player you can do that by clicking the dancing chat bubble. In there, it'll get you in with all the cool kids. In addition to Twitter, you can find the universe on Facebook, Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Just look for Spaceboy Universe. And speaking of YouTube, you can find more than the Spaceboy Universe of archive of shows. That's right. There is video content from Spaceboy Music, video interviews, 2-Bit Gamers, and so much more. Can't catch the show live? No problemo. Take the SBU on the go with you via Spreaker, SoundCloud, and iTunes, because we like to dominate the universe.
And we appreciate people who do listen, who couldn't be here when we're live. We like that. Just do it when you can.
It's great to tune into the show, and we understand you have a life, so you're not going to catch us live all the time. But the on-demand thing is just the way, it's like the future.
But we encourage you, if you can, come live, because we can do live chat in Spreaker on Spreaker.com. And everybody in there is usually so welcoming, and they're a lot of fun. They like to get off on their own topics sometimes, but, join in. You can also watch anything that happens live via Twitter, because sometimes we'll be talking about something and some of our wonderful space cadets will go run and find pictures and photos and videos of what we're talking about that's relevant, and they'll go link it in Twitter so you can kind of keep up with us as we're talking live. So it's always fun.
Yes, we have some really, it's a community, if you will, of people who are like-minded and just want to hang out, and this is a great place to do so. So, Surlana, how are you tonight?
Well, didn't cough all day, don't have a problem. 1 minute before a show starts, I can't stop.
Well,
there's like a little
tickle?
Something in the, like a tickly.
Probably one of the, we had some cupcakes today. It's probably one of the little, that little pick, the thing you don't like, the sprinkles.
Oh, why do they? It's not your traditional sprinkles. It's the little flat, round ones that are kind of bland and hard.
Like they took
the little circles.
Like they took a Necco wafer, Necco wafer, and miniaturized it.
That wouldn't be so bad. This is like little hard pieces of cardboard confetti.
Well, speaking of your cough, I finally, last week I was not my top form, as you told the audience. And come to find out, over the week, I finally went to a clinic today to get a checkup. And apparently, at the beginning of the week, I had a case of stomach flu, mild case. And I guess
how were you able to keep that to yourself?
And then as the week, I guess because I didn't puke on you, maybe.
Well, I appreciate that.
And
Thank you.
And then on top of that, as the week progressed, I got a major sinus infection.
I get those a lot. Those are fun.
I generally don't get sick, and
No,
that.
You don't.
And so that's why I think I've been so fatigued and out of it. But I got some antibiotics, and
did you start taking it yet?
No, I'm going to take it before I go to bed.
Okay.
Why? What is this?
Let's get started. Let's get on with it.
I know you're just like impatient with me trying to get back on my feet again. So, but anyway, I'm going to make progress to get better. So there you go. So Surlana, this is the time we chit chat about the wonderful subjects that we cover here on Spaceboy Universe. Fringe, history, gaming, music, pop culture, and tech. So where does
start?
I guess, do you want to start with the alien selfie?
So, have you heard the big brouhaha about the supposed alien selfie?
Let me take a selfie.
Or whatever language they say it. So, supposedly, this happened on 4chan, as most things do, on some post there, that it supposedly came out of so many miles away from Luke Air Force Base.
I can't recall the Air Force Base, but yeah.
And it was supposed to be a non-humanoid figure, and it was supposed to be, I guess, maybe reptilian, but they were describing it was yellow with dark scales. It looked like it had bags under his eyes, pear or hourglass-shaped head. Excuse me. Thin human-like features, but the eyes were really kind of smaller than ours. Very pursed lips. I don't know if it was like doing the duck face, because that's how you do your selfies. And it looked like it had maybe some kind of mesquite-looking Joshua stumpy tree in the background. It was sort of deserty-like.
Right.
But supposedly it got 4chan shut down because this was on there. I don't know if that's true. I don't know how they know, but it was taken away. And then all they had left was people who said they saw it and described it. And there's one image out there that looks like when you go to save an image from the internet, but it doesn't fully download. You just get like the little top portion, and it's all kind of corrupted below. So it's like a corrupted photo, but that has been found to be a fake.
Right. It's in fact, I don't think we've seen the original photo. You would think somebody would have screen captured it or something, but
Yeah.
it's all based upon eyewitnesses that have seen the picture, this high-res picture, and 4chan.
Somebody recreated it,
Yeah. 4chan went down for a while, and then when they came back up, it was off their site. It's a he said, she said. You remember all those? There used to be a site you used to go to where it was like Photoshop this, or where they took a picture and they'd photo.
Yeah.
And
Fark.com used to do that a lot.
and that's what it kind of reminded me of, these people trying to mimic the
Photoshop challenges.
Photoshop challenges, exactly. I'm not denying or saying that I don't believe that there is an actual picture out there. It just, I hate it when people try to like recreate and say, yeah, this is the actual picture, and clearly you can tell by the lighting. I don't think we saw any of the pictures that people did, and there were a handful of them that said that this is the picture that actually looked.
Some of them look just like, it's okay, and then some are like, oh, that is obviously terribly, terribly done. And
Right.
Like, well, that's obviously a 3D model from a 3D rendering engine, and just
Yeah, so
But that was fun.
yeah,
I like that story. That was fun.
Yeah, it was interesting to say the least, and it's still one of those mysteries out there that can't be.
I like stories like that.
Can't be denied or busted, or is still waiting to get its day in court, so to speak. So, speaking with aliens and stuff like that. Tom DeLonge just keeps on pumping out the hits left and right, and I'm not talking about music.
Sick of him.
I was coming across an article on Facebook, and basically he's saying that we can expect within 60 days there's going to be some kind of announcement that, I guess, a disclosure, that it is going to be coming out. So, I don't know. I don't know what to think, I guess the skeptic in me is like, we've constantly heard people saying that there's going to be disclosure. So,
All right. Well, I looked on Twitter because they're talking about that on Twitter. DeLonge, like, oh, does he have a new book coming out? Is that what he's trying to,
right. I think our good friend Jim Malyard posted that out there, and I think probably so. Who knows? So looks like we're getting a lot of good people in the Spreaker chat right now.
I want to welcome Donna. Haven't seen her in a while, so thanks for dropping into our chat.
Ming Jing, Vato Machine. Good to see you, my friend. James Cruz, always a pleasure to see James in the house, and Tina.
Tina's there.
Yeah, our good friend Dennis is there.
Catalina.
Yeah, so it looks like it's going to be a great. I agree with you, James. Disclosure is getting boring. It's kind of like shut up or put up, kind of thing, So, anyway, good people, continue with us. Keep pumping the questions in the chat if you've got something in there you want us to discuss with tonight's topic, and of course, what we're talking about now. So we go from Tom DeLonge, who says 60 days we'll have disclosure. All right. You got a little history. What happened on this day in history?
This day in history. What does it? Oh, do you
know? Bad boys.
Did you know this day in history that Cops debuted?
In 89.
In 1989.
I remember that was like the dawning of Fox Network. So that was kind of cool.
One of the best theme songs ever.
Mm-hmm. What about Bookwise? 1818?
Oh,
Frankenstein?
I cannot. Sorry, I can't read.
Well, it's tiny area.
Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley. Mary Shelley. Her book Frankenstein gets published,
and of course,
which is a big coup for her to publish that under her name as a woman.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we could talk about her in Great Women of History Part 2.
Well, yeah, we could do that. I tried to pick lesser known, but there's a story behind a supposed story about how Frankenstein, the concept, was born. It's supposed to be at this party she was at with, other famous poets and her husband, and so.
Also, in this year, this week in history, Lawrence Welk born in 1903.
And if you don't know who that is,
He likes the tiny bubbles.
you're probably a little too young.
Oh, well, you're probably too young. There was there's nothing on TV.
There's no. I mean, what
and
could you do?
You start turning the knob on the television, and all of a sudden you get this guy. Tonight we're going to do a song to some tiny bubbles, and you're going to enjoy while we play some music. So, this stuff.
I always wondered if that sketch on the Muppet Show where they're doing the ballroom dancing was like a parody of Lawrence Welk's.
Well, they also do a kind of a parody on Saturday Night Live that is hilarious, and I can't.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Kristen Wiig plays this. I guess she's the ugly sister out of the bunch. Pretty funny. You should look it up on YouTube when you get a chance, but not now while we're broadcasting Spaceboy Universe for you.
Calm down.
I'm sorry,
dude.
Cupcaking me. All right.
Leave him alone.
It's a kind of a sad time for gaming, and I'll tell you why. Motherboard is reporting that the CRT supplies are vanishing.
You're talking about just the old school monitors and TVs, right? CRT,
pretty
cathode
much.
ray tubes.
And how that figures into the big world of video games is that to actually create a replica of an arcade system, you need the CRT for the backing. So that means that because the company that was the only company that was manufacturing them here is moving. They sold their company to China to a China businessman, and so it's kind of sad to see that go because now you can still make an arcade in the cabinet and everything replica, but it would be
flat screen.
It'd be a flat screen TV inside there instead of a CRT, which there's something to be said about.
That's the only reason that cabinet was heavy is because there was a CRT in there.
Well, that and the big motherboard that they had in there. I mean, it's amazing what you can do with a Raspberry Pi and
just the micro SD card.
Yeah, I mean, we were watching a couple of
that Raspberry
videos.
Pi board was just a little bigger than about 2-3 times the size of a credit card, maybe. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah. And it's able to...
That had, 50 games on it or more?
Yeah, at least. I think it was more than that.
Well, that was for the SD card holds that.
So you're only dependent on the SD card to hold the games. But yeah, so CRT supplies are going by. It's kind of a sad time for people of my generation to see something that meant so much to us as kids. And
meant more to you.
Yeah, well, just the sounds, it takes me back to going into... it's much different when I was a kid going to Chuck E. Cheese versus it is now.
I was just say it's the sounds and the smell of pizza.
It is exactly, and the rock explosion playing in the background. So you just it's so commercialized now.
I'd only ever been to Chuck E. Cheese once in my childhood, and that was it.
Chuck E. Cheese, well, actually, Chuck E. Cheese, and there was Showbiz. But that's a long story I won't get into. Just maybe that's a topic we
pop
could
culture night we could do.
Yeah, on Chuck E. Cheese and Showbiz.
80s things.
Yeah, 80s. Hey, you were talking about music-wise, Gorillaz.
The band Gorillaz with a Z. Mm-hmm. They're going to have their own music festival. Now, I didn't get into reason is it just going to be just their music, or are they going to feature other artists along with them? But that sounds intriguing. I would be interested to see what that would entail.
Mm-hmm.
I like them.
I do too. Their videos are pretty awesome too. This is also the 20th anniversary of Biggie's death.
Biggie Smalls?
Yeah, Biggie Smalls. It would have been interesting to see where he'd be at today if he hadn't gotten, I guess he was shot. And, 20 years. Speaking of other 20-year anniversary, this is the 20th anniversary of the first show from, I guess, Josh Whedon of Buffy. Not the movie.
It was the movie.
No, it's the television series.
I don't care about television.
I know
series.
you. It's funny. Oh, I loved Buffy the movie, but when it came to the television series,
I'm just not interested in it watching that much of that type of thing.
Okay, well, there are some nerds out there that are pretty excited over Buffy, and I thought it was a well put together. And out of that, you get the spinoff show Angel, who
never saw it.
But the main character in that movie or show.
No,
we ended up watching him in Bones.
Oh.
Yeah, and I know that's another show.
Over that.
Yeah, lately you've just gone anti-TV. So
there's nothing wrong with that.
No, anyway. So I was watching. I forgot about. South by Southwest is happening in Austin right now.
Yeah.
And
someday I'd like to.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool to hang out there on
when we don't have to work anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And when we're mega rich, but until that day,
dead first.
We're big fans of the show. Jimmy McGee.
What?
Better Call Saul. Well, that's how I had to remember his name there.
That's not his name, but
Jimmy
my goodness.
Jimmy McGee, where did I come up with that? Oh, I'm thinking of Timothy McGee, which is on Naval CSI, which I've been binge watching. So anyway, they built a replica Los Hermanos. Yes, thank you very much.
The brothers?
The brothers. And,
the chicken brothers.
You can go in there and get chicken.
Pollo Los Hermanos.
Yeah, there we go. I'm still trying to recover from my illness this week. But,
what the illness?
Yeah, so that was kind of cool to see. I'm kind of excited for this third season because we're going to really definitely see the metamorphosis of Saw into Saw himself. So that'll be great. Your thoughts?
Oh, you're talking about Better Call Saul?
Better Call Saul.
You think we're probably going to see him metamorphose into the character we know from Breaking Bad?
Right, because
because they can't pull this, they can't drag this TV show out much longer. Really.
Well, the brother is probably going to get him in a point where it shows him in jail, Jimmy, and then you have Gus coming into the picture, and it's just going to be great to see all that stuff again. Yeah, so. How Gus and all that gets the beginnings of how did that all start up. So, that'll be interesting to see. I think that's April.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Forget what happened last season.
Kind of a sad note, and we hope that he's doing better. Stan Lee had to cancel his con appearances coming up, and I guess he's under the weather, but for a man who's in his 90s, we wish him well and to get back to where he needs to be.
Saw him in the new Deadpool trailer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's still. Oh, I love that. Zip it, Stan Lee. It was a pretty good thing. I'm thinking. He still needs like 120. I've heard rumors that he's already recorded several appearances of future movies that are coming up. So they wanted to make sure to have him,
slightly morbid, but
kind of morbid in a sense, but just trying to hedge your bets, so that he's actually there to the ghost of Stan Lee. Could you imagine them doing him CGI or?
I don't know if Stan would want that or not, but I'm just more thinking about the Deadpool trailer. That the only part I really enjoyed was right as he starts rambling near the end, and he starts speaking in Australian accent, making fun of Hugh Jackman.
Right. I wish they'd make that happen. That would be such
he's done. Hugh's done.
I'm sure Hugh would come out of retirement
for
a cameo on Deadpool, to make that happen. So... Yeah,
knowing Hugh Jackman, he might do that, but I don't know.
So, are you paranoid, Surlana? Is there...
Oh, I was born paranoid.
We've got our tape over our monitors, cameras, and stuff like that, and
we don't have a smart TV.
Yeah, ours is more. Well, it's smart.
Ours
enough.
is old school, stupid.
Yeah, it's gonna drop the mic literally. So in tech news, Alexa, you know what Alexa is, right?
That's the Amazon thing that
we love so much. Amazon.
It talks directly to Amazon, right?
You say Alexa, and then you say whatever. Alexa, I'm out of toilet paper. Please order me some toilet paper, and it'll order it for you automatically. Or you can ask it, Alexa, what's the weather like?
And, I didn't know she knew that stuff.
Oh, yeah, it goes much. You can ask, just like Siri, how much you love that. Well, a lady asked Alexa, do you work for the CIA? And, first, before she asked that question, she asked a series of questions. Would you lie to me? Would you do this? Would you do that? And leading up to the question of, do you work for the CIA? Well, the thing didn't respond back to her, and she asked it several times. I think it's funny because we started watching this show, a British show, what is it called? Humans.
I was going to talk about that, yeah.
And one of the questions that the character asked the synth is, would you lie to me? And so I think that was kind of a funny connection. But yeah, when asked, it didn't reply. Like, I can't lie, so I guess the best way not to lie is not to say anything at all, right?
Lie by omission, isn't it?
I guess. I mean, but
you say it best when you say nothing at all.
The reality is, I was reading some other article, and I'm going to just paraphrase what I read, was that we're at a point now that no matter if you're on your phone or any kind of communications, there is probably going to be something that's recorded you without your permission. It's an inevitability. I mean, just in the world we live in. And it's kind of interesting that we talk about AI tonight and how a lot of that stuff might tie in, the good, the bad, the ugly. And
exactly.
So it's, I guess you're just kind of screwed 10 ways to Sunday when it deals with privacy issues.
Yeah, I read this. Like, there's nowhere you're going to have a private conversation. Like, if I met you in a random field in the middle of nowhere, they could probably still pick up on our conversations, even if we didn't bring cell phones. And
well, it was like the satellite feed I was talking about. I was watching another thing about. It has to deal with AI. Where they could take a picture from space, a high-resolution picture. I mean, the resolution is wickedly crazy. And then as you zoom into a particular area, I think they only showed like 100 square feet, or I forgot the miles or something like that. And they were able to zoom in, and as you zoomed in, all these boxes would start populating. And what it was the artificial intelligence was tracking all these different things. Cars, people, just different things, and it just boggles the mind to when you start looking at all that. And that's one thing, and I know we're going to talk about AI, but AI is definitely good at is dealing with a large amount of data. And we'll get into that.
I learned a lot. And I now have an opinion, a decided opinion on the subject. So
okay. Well, anything else you want to add, Surlana? Can't think of that. Let's see here. No, yes. I think we covered all the topics.
I just want to say I liked the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. I'm not apologizing for it.
Well, I enjoyed. I've seen some Buffy, the TV series.
I know it doesn't hold up well, over time, because people's sensibilities change and everything. But they always talk about the guy who played Pee Wee Herman, his performance in that film, how it was better than anybody else's. How his silly, over the top dying.
I got worried because you said his performance, and I thought at that film, and I was like.
Yeah, he'll never live that down. So
yeah, so
Paul Rubens.
Yeah, and if you youngsters don't know about Paul's past, then you should look it up. Anyway, I still like him as Pee Wee. I mean, I've always enjoyed Pee Wee Herman. I mean, his character that he does. That
character started out as very adult.
Yes,
it was not intended for children, but it ended up that way.
So, are we good here?
Yeah.
It's a bottle of water, babe.
Oh, I thought you had a lemon or something.
No, well, where am I going to get a lemon at this time?
Well, the squeezy bit.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, you're listening to SBU on the SBU network, and we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little AI, so don't go anywhere.
This is author Jordan Root. You are listening to the Spaceboy Universe.
This is K28, and I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hi, y'all. This is Lori calling from Texas, and I love listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, this is Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
This is Wendy. I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, y'all. This is Lorelai DeLille. I listen to Spaceboy Universe. Don't you? Tell your mom and them I said hi.
The epic battle begins this Friday. Direct from ringside at Laser Death Melt. It's Bot versus Bot in Galaxy's 2-ton weight championship, where your challenger, Good Bot, will face the reigning champion, Bad Bot.
You're terminated.
Reserve seating starting at $30. 2-drink minimum, where ladies don't get in free. This is an SBU production.
You're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
Ever seen an extraterrestrial? It can be hard to believe they exist unless you've seen one for yourself. What if I told you I've seen them my whole life, but have never had a witness who shared the encounter with me? Now, what if I told you I saw 4 of them, 2 with blue skin, and there are over 20 witnesses to this CE5 event? My new book, The Blue Beings, Visitation at the UFO Conference, documents actual accounts from real witnesses, many of which have gone on record to attest to this otherworldly reality. Be a part of the quantum paradigm shift that is taking place right now. Go to johnpolkmedia.com to get your copy of The Blue Beings, Visitation at the UFO Conference, on sale right now at johnpolkmedia.com. That's JOHNPOLK media.com.
Hello Space Cadets. It is announcer Savannah. I want to tell you that as a dedicated member of the SBU team, you always want to look your best. Do it in a Spaceboy Universe t-shirt. Get yours at spaceboyuniverse.com by clicking the banner on the website.
Greetings, Space Cadets! Let's see what's in the sky tonight in the Spaceboy Universe. Tonight, in the eastern sky, we have Spaceboy Universe rising above the horizon in glorious splendor. And in the west, we can see Surlana's Majoris, which is visible at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, just below the K28 belt. So keep your eyes on the sky and listen to Spaceboy Universe.
I like that song, Crash. But you know,
I do too. I do too. A lot.
I was going to say, you know what I like even better? I like wishing Dennis a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Dennis.
Oh, you're making fun of that.
Making fun of what? Knowledge?
Yeah.
What knowledge would I be making fun of?
Oh, you never saw that stupid YouTube ad. You know what I like even more than my Lamborghini?
Oh, I hate that guy. I'm just sitting in my garage with my Lamborghini. And,
I don't see any of that because...
And then when I turn around, I've got a library on my wall in my garage for no apparent reason.
He just likes to read books in his Lamborghini, apparently.
I can't drive it because the insurance is too much, but I've got a Lamborghini in my garage. Now he's got a new one where he's at his mansion, and he's got these cars out in front, and he's like...
See, the thing is, one... I have YouTube Red, so I don't have to see those anymore. And two, if I'm somewhere I don't have it, but I'm logged in, I've also got ad block.
Well, I do too, but somehow I've come across that particular, I guess, whatever it is, and it just drives me nuts because it's just like, I've got all this wealth and you're eating a bad burrito from Taco Bell. I mean...
Not the worst day of your life.
No, but, so anyway, yeah. I'm just sitting here in the studio with my Lamborghini. Anyway, so Surlana, we're talking about AI tonight. Artificial intelligence, that is.
Sorry, you got me cracked up.
I'm a little off my rocker, I guess.
Oh, yeah, well, you've been like that for a while.
Yeah. So AI,
Yes.
we're not necessarily talking about the movie AI. We're talking about
Which I don't know anything
artificial
about.
intelligence.
The concept of artificial intelligence and why it is something we need to be talking about. We don't need to ignore it. We need to keep our eye on it, and we need to hold those accountable that are messing with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, basically, let's start with the basics. What is AI, which stands for artificial intelligence? So, what is that? And if you want an official definition, that is, it's a branch of computer science dealing with the simulation of intelligent behavior in computers, or the capability of a machine to imitate intelligent human behavior. And that's kind of what we're really dealing with, is the number 2 definition. So can you tell us about some of the origins where
in fact,
it was born?
In fact, a lot of people think it goes back prior to 1956 with Alan Turing. Turing, thank you. But it actually starts in I guess you could say, let's just say in 1956, Dartmouth Artificial Intelligence Conference gave birth to the field of AI and gave succeeding generations of scientists their first sense of the potential of information technology to be the benefit of human beings in a profound way. In 1956, John McCarthy invited many of the leading researchers at the time in a wide range of advanced research topics such as complexity theory, language simulation, neuron nets, abstraction of content from sensory inputs, relationship of randomness to creative thinking, and learning machines to Dartmouth in New Hampshire to discuss a subject so new to human imagination that he had to coin the new phrase for it called artificial intelligence.
Basically a big old nerd fest.
Basically. So, it was a conference, the largest gathering on the topic that had yet taken place, and laid the foundation for an ambitious vision that has affected research and development in engineering, mathematics, computer science, psychology, and many other fields ever since. It's no coincidence that in the early 1956, evidence indicated that electronic capacity and functionality were doubling approximately every 18 months at the time, and the rate of improvement showed no signs of slowing down. And I guess that ties into I guess what is it called, Ohm's law, where everything kind of doubles after a certain amount of period. So
our rate of knowledge absorption.
Exactly. Many participants came away from that discussion convinced that the software programming would lead to a point where computers would someday have the resources to be as intelligent as human beings. The only real question was when and how it would happen. So basically, the conference, gave birth to the field of AI as a vibrant area of interdisciplinary research, and provided an intellectual background, if you will, to all computer research after that. So,
sorry.
Yeah, so that's a little back history of how the AI began and sprouted from there.
And you mentioned Alan Turing, and what they put machines through something called the Turing test. And so in 1950, Alan Turing, he proposed that a computer could be taught the same way a child can be taught. So this is where we get the idea of the Turing test, which is just a test for the intelligence of a computer or, system that requires that a human being should be unable to distinguish the machine from another human being by using replies to questions that you put both to a human and the machine, and whatever the machine answers, you should be able to tell it's a human. I suppose you could be talking to a person on the phone and not know that that's an AI.
Right. However, I recognize when I make a call to customer service that it's definitely AI.
Oh, yeah. Well, so basically the overall goal of AI research is to create technology that allows computers, machines to function in an intelligent manner, And what they're trying to get is, basically they found out the most efficient, best computer learning system is a neural net, which is basically our brain. So they're trying to get AI to function like a human brain in every way, but that means that they expect AI to be able to reason, which means use strategy, solve puzzles, make judgments under uncertainty, represent knowledge, including common sense, be able to plan, be able to learn, be able to teach itself, be able to communicate with natural language like we're speaking now. And then they got to take all of those things and integrate them towards a common goal. And so it's complex.
And I was going to say, what is that overall goal, Surlana? And I mean, we'll talk about this through the course of the night, but, is it to create, is it us trying to be godlike and create a creation of our own, only to have it surpass? And
well, that's what we want to talk about is that what we have right now and a lot of our functions and things that are like things that drive the Google search engine, some of the things we use every day, is narrow AI or weak AI. It's designed to program and function to do a narrow task, such as face recognition software, learn to drive a car, like the self-driving cars. But what we need to be more concerned about is what they're working on right now is called general or strong AI. That's the AI that will generally outperform us, and what that's called is when we reach a point of singularity where the AI has gone beyond our capabilities as a human, and maybe we're obsolete because we can never catch up to its capabilities. So that brings the questions. So is AI going to help us evolve and get us to the next level of humanity, or will it be our destruction? That type of thing. So is it all right if I start onto the, let's look at some possible issues?
Well, let's backtrack a little bit here, because when the subject matter we were talking, I guess, reviewing, you recall Ray Kurzweil?
Yes, I've got that in here.
And it's important, I guess, to bring him up now because...
Well, you got to let me find it in my notes.
Well, you find it in your notes. Basically, he is a futurist.
Yes.
And he is the shiznit, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
He has been sought after by many people, and I guess at this point you found...
Yeah, he's a futurist. Ray Kurzweil says by the year 2045, it will be the year of singularity. So that means that we're further along than we realize with the development of strong general AI. But what I couldn't understand is this thing that I read that said, it takes 6 years for society to accept or integrate new and strange business ideas. Mm-hmm. Our human brain simply cannot adjust faster than this. I don't fully understand. Maybe it'll take me 6 years to understand that statement.
Well, I found, a part of all this, which is kind of interesting, is the technology, going back to how technology, in order for us to get to... the IA factor, if you will, you have to look how things have progressed. And as humans, we look at things kind of linear. But the reality of the way technology is going is this, it's been this slow, like a slope, small slope, and then all of a sudden we're starting to go up. And what is meant by that is that things that took,
well, if you look at the
20 years to do
progress of inventing the wheel to where we are right now, it seems like there's a nice progression and it goes bang.
Right.
It just really takes off.
Because things are doubling practically. In fact,
every 12 months or so?
Well, it's getting to that point where it's like, in order to understand what just happened, well, I guess it was put in the sense of having a degree, you go and you get a degree, and
it takes you 4 years or so.
Yeah, but by the time you get that degree,
what they were saying is there's going to be so much information that AI can process it, and the amount of information that an AI can process and the time it can do it, to learn what the AI knew or knows, you would have to go to school for 8 years to find out what it knew last year, so.
Right. And that's how AI works best, is through large amounts of data. And that's what I was describing in our previous half hour towards the end before the break. That the technology is so advancing so quickly that we can't even barely keep up. I guess there was a description about plugging in, and that's when you get to the Matrix-like situation where you have like 86 billion neurons in your brain, but could you imagine doubling that, quadrupling that, or going even further beyond 100 times that, to expand your knowledge to be able to tap into all that knowledge? Kind of marrying the biological with the technology, of course, yes, the Borg.
Except they got really snotty.
And so it's kind of a fascinating future, if you will, where it could be doom and gloom, or it could be an optimistic view. And I guess if you...
I'm waiting for you to tell me where to go. So,
well, I want you to look at that monitor and tell me.
I just go in with my notes, man.
I know you're going with your notes. Sorry, a little back behind the scenes thing.
He muted us so we could have our little marital angst.
So,
because I have 11 pages of typed notes.
Well, please continue then.
Well, so I've got like let's look at a list of possible issues or points to consider about AI. I think the main concern is, okay, a lot of jobs that we do now are probably going to become automated through the use of AI, even if it is AI programming through a robot, maybe. So now in our lifetimes, we've seen robots automate jobs, especially in the automobile industry, assembling cars. But what happens is more and more of this comes on board. The part of our job force now that is labor and physical intensive work, well, as AI starts replacing that stuff, will those people be forced to more cognitive labor, where you have to be more thinking, type of jobs. Also, think of all the truck drivers that are on the road right now driving the big rigs. There's a push to want to get a lot of these trucks to be self-driving, and that's going to become the norm, or that's what some of these industries want. So what happens to the truck driving workforce? All these jobs may become more efficient, faster, safer, and lower in cost and overhead, but what's that cost in the expense to the person who was doing that job? And the thing is, we still live in a society that expects everyone to earn a living for food, shelter, and clothing. So what if we start being edged out by artificial intelligence? Are we going to have to rethink how to do all this stuff? Because, there's always going to be people who want to profit. There's always going to be, even in the future, we got Ferengi. So these former labor workers, are they going to be able to find meaning in different types of work that's radically different from what they're used to? What if you work and you labor physically and you like that, to do that for a living, and something else comes along to replace it that's artificial? What are these people going to do? Are they going to be completely disillusioned and sad? But, on the flip side, to me, it does seem a little barbaric to devote 8 hours of your day plus or more, or 40 hours a week or more, to just trying to make money just so you can have a place to live, clothing on your back, and food. That just does seem stupid to me. That's why I guess Star Trek makes sense, where if you want to work, you can work, but you don't have to. So, but again, as AI may take over jobs, who gets all that salary that was being paid to employees, humans? In this country, the economic system is based on compensation, because you got to have money to buy the basics of life to survive. And we usually get compensated at an hourly rate. That's sort of, there's probably more hourly than there are salary. So if the industry is using machines, AI, instead of computers, instead of people, who gets all that salary? You don't have to pay the robot. Now the revenues get out to fewer people. The wealth gap is so wide right now. Could it be made worse by automating jobs? Now I read some predictions that are seem kind of fanciful, but it said there's a prediction in the next 2 decades that 76 million U.S. jobs will be replaced by AI/robots with AI. And another statistic I read somewhere else said 90% of the population could be out of work due to AI taking over jobs and tasks. But the surprising aspect of this is not just these people who labor physically or the blue-collar jobs, it's also salespeople and Wall Street executives. And the reason that is you go back to the idea, remember when we talked about Bitcoin and blockchaining, or just the idea of blockchaining? Well, that is done through a computer crunching and processing transactions, like banking transactions of purchases. So that they're saying is going to overtake Wall Street, the Wall Street business person. That will cut out the middle person, and it'll cut down all the inflated pricing and the mispricing of securities. But then that also, which I guess is good, but then those people don't have a job either. So another consideration is how well machines will be able to model or mimic our conversation and behavior. They may start interacting with what we believe are humans, but they're AI. I don't know. I mean, right now, I think we can tell when we're talking to customer service and sales who's a real human, and because they sound kind of robotic, and the tone isn't right. Now, but the thing is, there's going to be more and more of this AI interacting with us as customers, because AI can run all day and all night, unlimited resources. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't need a break. It doesn't get cranky. It doesn't feel right now. It can be sit there and devote time to building relationships with customers, but also you've got AI that can be programmed in the same ways as clickbait. Clickbait headlines and addictive videos and games, and they can use A/B testing and algorithms. And these corporations may be counting on the fact that we have our tech addiction, and our tech addiction is kind of like a new drug. And now, what do I mean by that? I mean, think of this. We're constantly checking our cell phones, and I don't know why, it's something to do. Now, why do we constantly look at our phones, look at social media, get on the internet, click this, click that? Is it to gain pleasure? Well, it's not necessarily that. Some of it's addiction, but it's not for gratification and pleasure. It's to try to get rid of neurotransmitters that make us feel bad, i.e. anxiety, stress. We're doing it as kind of like stress relief, for fun, or just, to distract ourselves. So how we use social media, our phone as a distraction from our worry is kind of like alcohol. Some people could turn to alcohol. So we can use, AI can exploit this and create something effective and positive, but I don't think that's the way corporations are pushing things. But if they could take us and distract us and give us something positive and push society to something more beneficial. But really, how likely is that? So the other thing to consider is AI isn't foolproof. It can see patterns that aren't really there, kind of like we can sometimes. So if we rely really heavily on AI for labor and security, we better make sure it performs as planned, because you could get misidentifications, or it could see, things that aren't there, not knowing that it's in error. Now, what's the repercussions of that? Artificial racism. So AI isn't necessarily fair or neutral, but it's not doing that on purpose. So think of the technology that's out there right now to recognize faces and objects and scenes, and maybe to try to identify terrorists, because that can go wrong. So there's an example of such as when a camera missed the mark on racial sensitivity, or when software used to predict the future criminals shows bias against black people. So that's where things can go wrong. And then because AI is created by humans who make mistakes and can be biased and judgmental, this could accidentally get carried over to AI, or on purpose if someone's trying to sabotage, And now, this is a concern I have. We're living in an age where everything can be hacked and cracked and, broken into digitally, So what about systems that are using AI? How do we keep them safe from malicious attacks? And you consider these things. What about drones? What if somebody gets into one of those AI-driven drones and, does mayhem? What about missiles that are being run with AI? Interballistic continental missiles. What about laser knife-wielding ninja robots? Who's going to keep us safe when they go bad? What about AI that's helping fly an airplane, running a pacemaker, taking care of the power grid? Like I said, what if it launches a nuke? These are things. Now, this one I'm hoping you can help me with, because you've seen a lot more movies than I have. What if AI turns against us? Think of this. Think of Skynet, The Matrix, iRobot. Maybe it's not going to be in this Hollywood shows us how it's out to get us kind of thing, but there could be unforeseen consequences we just can't think of right now or predict. Not necessarily like Skynet or The Matrix, but a misinterpretation of a program.
Well, I was going to bring up how can AI be dangerous? Most researchers agree that a super intelligent AI is unlikely to exhibit human emotions to love or hate, and that there's no reason to expect an AI to intentionally benevolent or malevolent. I can't even say the word.
Malevolent.
Thank you very much. Tongue-tied again. Instead, when considering how AI might become a risk, experts think two scenarios are most likely. One, the AI is programmed to do something devastating, like autonomous weapons or artificial intelligence systems that are programmed to kill in the hands of the wrong person. These weapons could easily cause mass casualties. Moreover, an AI arms race could inadvertently lead to an AI war that could also result in mass casualties. To avoid being thwarted by the enemy, these weapons could be designed to be extremely difficult to simply just turn off, so humans could plausibly lose control in such a situation. Then you've got number two, which the AI programmed to do something beneficial, but it develops a destructive method for achieving its goal. This can happen whenever we fall fully in line with the AI's goal. For example, like if the AI decides we need to build paperclips and then starts making paperclips, turning industries into paperclip machine-making planes, sending spaceships out to planets to harvest planets for its means to making more paperclips. So it's kind of a weird way to where AI, even though it meant well in the first place,
start investing in paperclips.
It turned everything into a paperclip making society. So, it started off with good intentions, but then
I like paperclips.
Well, I'm glad for you.
Well, like I said, there's these grandiose ideas and hopes for AI, such as one example I read was what if AI finally figures out a way to eradicate cancer by killing everyone?
Well, see, that goes with the paperclip thing I was just talking about. The best way to eliminate a threat is to have no threat at all. So, but anyway,
but the actual worry is that AI becomes so competent with goals that are not aligned with ours, and if it could decide we are not needed, unlike the Matrix, where they need us, what then?
Okay, well, this hour has been sponsored by Spaceboy Music.
And Paperclips.
And Paperclips. Go to spaceboymusic.com to check out the newest Spaceboy album, Unique Technique, which is on sale for $10. That's right, $10 gets you 17 wonderfully unique tracks to jam out and bug out as you drive down the freeway. Make the envy of all people in your neighborhood by listening to Spaceboy Music, spaceboymusic.com. So let's take this break and we'll be right back. You're listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network, where you can find lots of good programming like Spaceboy Universe, what is it? Tea and sarcasm. Sweet tea and sarcasm. Hopefully, that next episode won't involve a husband choking on water.
Oh, bless your heart.
Yes, I know. Last time I squeezed a bottle. So, now, hold on, I got a cough now. Okay, now I'm back. So, where are we, Surlana? We were talking about...
Well, I have a few more points of concern.
Concerns. Tell us your concerns.
With AI, what happens if we can't pull the plug on AI?
And that's kind of what I was talking about, yeah.
Well, if it does advance past us, humans, can it defend itself from being disabled? And what then if we need to disable it? If it can make those kind of decisions on its own, then, what next? So we can't predict this right now. We don't know how it will behave.
Well, it's funny you bring this up, and I know you got another one here, but from what I was reading and seeing is that AI is still at a stage that, the planning stages, if you will. And an ethics board, if you will, has been formed to establish rules of the future. I'm trying to remember how it's not policing, but it's minimizing risk is the way to go about the AI situation. So what do you do when it comes to minimizing the risk? Well, you want to teach AI like it's another human being, compassion, ethics and morals and values that as humanity holds true to itself, in hopes that AI will adapt.
Well, didn't we watch a video that said that when Google bought Deep Thought or whatever that was, the first thing it says on don't go any further until we just establish an ethics board.
Exactly. And so, that is, it's not like they're going willy-nilly into the night. And, you do have people, well-known people that are, concerned about the future of AI. Like Elon Musk.
It's a strange.
I know he's a strange character too. So, but he's an alien. Yes, him and Cumberbatch are brothers. So there we go. Dun dun dun. Breaking news.
And last of all, if these AI or robots or whatever we put this into, this AI, what's the legal status if they do start developing on their own and they get to a certain point? Do they have rights? Now
you're going into Johnny Five territory.
I was going toward Data.
Well, that's another one, but I think the Short Circuit movie...
Johnny Five is alive?
Yeah, it's more relevant sure, you have Data, but yeah.
Sorry, I saw some in chat. I want to know why that was... Why are you asking what's in Houston water?
Okay. Who was it? Was it Kay that asked that? Or?
No, it was Dennis.
Oh, of all people.
Yeah. But, yeah, now, we keep going back to Star Trek because Star Trek has addressed a number of these issues we talk about on all of our shows.
True.
It seems like they've already explored it, so... it's Star Trek, The Next Generation, and the episode is called The Measure of a Man, and it was this guy from Starfleet, he was a scientist, said, hey, I want to take Data, the android, take him back with me, tear him apart, see what makes him tick, and he's like, no, I don't want to do that, and they're like, well, you can't say no because you're property of Starfleet, so that led to a court case of.
I don't think was he property of Starfleet.
It was to rule is his own individual. He can do what he wants like any other officer, or is he the property because he is not human? He's a machine.
Kind of like I guess what they're getting at is because Starfleet found him on that planet, then they kind of like okay, that's ours. We found it.
Yeah, but then so they go into that and. They basically the judge was ruling on it. Basically, goes, we're dancing around the issue with both sides of this argument. She goes, what we're trying to determine is, does data have a soul? And there's like, that can't be determined, but you have to give him the right to find that out on his own. And what they were arguing is the guy that wanted to take him away, they kept saying, well, why do you want to study him so bad? He's like, well, just imagine if we could create more. And they said, why would you want to create more? It's like, we could have one on every starship and one. And they said, well, you're talking about creating a race of these machines. Like, and then how are you going to treat them? They're not going to have any, right? So it was a very good episode. It explored almost every aspect of that topic. I encourage you to go see that. And one of the other dilemmas that came into it is they made Riker take the opposition. They said, if you don't get somebody to take the other side of this, then I'll appoint someone and you won't like that at all. So that was kind of tough, I thought. But so that's something that you think about. When Hal got conflicting orders and he couldn't understand why he was told one thing and then somebody else lied to him. He wasn't bad. He wasn't malicious. He did not know how to reconcile a lie told to him by humans. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I guess that, it is what it is.
Okay. Well, let's talk about...
Well, I mean, I hate to just beat our audience over the death with Star Trek. I'm sure there's other things that we can talk about tonight.
Well, we'll get back to it then.
Okay.
Let's talk about the kind of like the future of AI. And there's two positions on this. One of them is rosy and optimistic. Oh, AI is going to do this. It's not going to take our jobs. It's going to help us cure diseases. It's going to take the places of going to place, doing things that we would conceive as too dangerous for us to do, blah, blah, blah. Then the other one's like, oh, that's going to kill us all. So let's look at both sides of that. It could either push us towards that Star Trek future, or, it could be, the Matrix, or it could be Skynet. Who knows? So the futurists have this really cool fantasy land idea about the future of AI. One of the things that I just mentioned was, oh, it's going to take our jobs. But they're saying... Oh, sorry. What they're saying is, you remember how, for example, when the internet came along, and it started, and we did that show on the internet way back last year, or was it in 2015? We did that. It's like, oh, it started affecting these industries because, you could go here to get your news. You could go here to get email instead of physical mail, and da-da-da-da. Well, they're saying that's what's going to happen with AI. For every job it takes, it's going to create something new. So just think when we eliminated those internet jobs, what we got with the internet, now we have web development, web design, UI, UX, web programming languages, social media managers, SEO experts, just huge industries coming out of the internet. So we lose some, we gain some, but one of the predictions for AI is for every job it takes from humans, new ones will be created. But the thing is, we can't even predict what types of jobs these will be. So, but to pin your hopes on that, I don't know if that's feasible. Like I said, you just can't know. Now, one article I read said, we're not even seeing what the huge change this is going to be. They said, AI will lead us into the mother of all tech revolutions, and it will be on the scale of the last industrial revolutions. They said, try to think about this. Combine AI capabilities with robots, blockchaining, virtual reality, 3D printing, and it is starting to sound like Star Trek, like with replications, holography, interactive holograms. Think about that. And that's what they didn't say. They just listed those, but I kind of extracted that from that, meaning we can't predict the impact and potential, and it's very difficult to guess. But now they're saying, futurists are saying that AI will collaborate with us, not compete. And we're a long way from that sentient feeling AI again. Even Data on Star Trek, when he got the emotion chip, it was a simulation. I don't know that he was feeling, because it seemed like kind of like be hitting him randomly. I don't know. I mean, I think that was such a weak story and plot. Anyway, it was poorly written. But AI can help speed up critical medical and scientific research because it can sit there and crunch data endlessly. It can help us learn. What I learned about this is, Khan Academy online, where you can go and learn things for free sometimes. It's already beginning to use AI like programming with their online tutoring. They have AI algorithms that watch how you study on their site, and it learns how you learn, and then it starts building a curriculum for you based on your speed and your progress, and it adjusts your lesson plan according to your rate of learning. So that's kind of cool. So
also we saw a video clip, and I can't remember the direct connection, but it had program learning to play video games.
Yes, and that was interesting.
Yeah, in fact, it showed how it was playing like Space Invaders, the Atari version, and learning these games and how it starts. They show a game.
Ooh,
wow, hello. I must have hit the. I think I might have figured out what. I hit the microphone and it must have the volume. Anyway, we'll work that out in post. So anyway, the video game where they introduced the game to the AI. And the AI is terrible at it. Doesn't know how to play it at all. And obviously, just the first few games it learns, it just is not good at it. And so they leave it on, I guess, overnight. And the next day they come in, and this thing has mastered the game.
Mm-hmm. They left it overnight. And it's like it's beating it every time.
So and then they go on to another game where I guess they were doing Breakout, and so it was interesting to see how this AI was learning. And so they're trying to build it up to where they're playing all these games and kind of building it up to modern games.
They're going to make it do Doom next. I'm like, ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, I was like...
That's more complex.
Right. So I was thinking on the lines of, can you imagine playing games where you're dealing with artificial intelligent characters?
Games.
Yeah, exactly. Where, you're battling... something that can be as equal intelligence as you are, or more some, and so it's fascinating where this is going with games in general. So you're going to have games that can anticipate your moves and to be more interactive and to be, just can you imagine? I mean, the first game that comes to my mind is the game. Solid Snake, what was that?
Wait a second, I got something.
Metal Gear Solid is what it was. And the characters in that, they developed it to where, there was a kind of a sense of AI to it, but to be able to go that deep into something like a game like Metal Gear Solid.
Well, right now, I'll jump ahead and down to my notes here. Video games are using AI, and they've been doing it for a while. Mm-hmm. There are non-playable characters in certain games that these individuals have personalities, elaborate backstories. They contain memories on the past interactions of the players, and they have variable objectives. So, based on what's happening in the game, they can change their behaviors and their objectives. Games like Far Cry and Call of Duty make extensive use of AI with enemies that analyze environments to find objects, do certain actions, and that may be beneficial to their survival. So it's more of a challenge to the actual players, like taking cover, flanking, investigating sounds, and communicating with other AI in the game. That's a somewhat simplistic use of AI, but plenty of time and money is being devoted to perfecting it for games like that. So that's what they're doing with AI right now. I continue, or
yeah, go ahead and continue. I mean,
what you want to do.
You
I want to tell you this thing I found, which is interesting. It's called the Chinese Room Thought Experiment. What this is John Searle it's a thought experiment from John Searle. It's a hypothetical premise. Suppose that artificial intelligence research has succeeded in getting a computer that behaves as if it understands Chinese. Okay, so it takes Chinese characters as an input,
Mm-hmm.
and by following instructions of a program that we make, it produces other Chinese characters, which it presents as output. So now Searle says, let's say, this computer performs its task so well, convincingly, that it passes the Turing test. It convinces a human Chinese speaker that the program itself is a live Chinese speaker. So to all the questions a person asks it makes the appropriate responses, such that any Chinese speaker would be convinced they're talking to another Chinese-speaking human. So Searle wants to know this. Does this machine literally understand Chinese, or is it merely simulating the ability to understand Chinese? And this is the difference between strong AI and weak AI. So he says, okay, take this into account. Now, he says, you get in a closed room, and you've got a book with an English version of the computer program that you gave the computer, the AI, along with sufficient paper, pencils, and erasers, and filing cabinets, all the stuff that you need. Searle says, you can receive Chinese characters through a slot in the door, process them according to the instructions that you have, and produce Chinese characters as an output. Now, if the computer did the same thing and passed the Turing test that way, it follows then it's just simply running a program manually. Now, he says there's no essential difference between the roles of the computer and himself if he was doing that experiment himself. So each simply follows a program step by step, producing behavior that's interpreted and demonstrated as intelligent conversation. However, you can't understand the conversation because you're not interpreting what the Chinese character said. You're just following a program. So he says it follows that the computer would not be able to understand the conversation either. He says without understanding or intentionality, we cannot describe the machine as doing is thinking. Since it does not think, it doesn't have a mind in like the normal sense of the word. Therefore, he concludes that strong AI is false. And strong AI is the one that is supposed to evolve past us and be like our human brain. And it's supposed to take things, interpret it on its own, learn on its own, the way we learn, the way a child learns. So I just thought that was really interesting. And I guess that's one of the things that we could use to test if AI is really smart like it's supposed to be, or we're wanting it to be. So, and as you said, Kurzweil said, 2045 is going to be the year singularity where it surpasses us. But I have trouble believing it'll ever happen. I don't. Again, you can't predict. Bill Joy is the founder of Sun Microsystems. He says our most powerful 21st century technologies, robotics, genetic engineering, and nanotech, are threatening to make humans an endangered species. And AI is having an impact on the market right now. These two authors, Eric Brynjolfsson and Andrew McAfee, they argue that technological progress is accelerating innovation even as it leaves many types of workers behind. And that's what said, it takes and it might take jobs, but it might give jobs back. So the scale of change is along the lines of the Industrial Revolution again. I don't know if we're there yet or if it's going to be a point where it seems like it's taking off and then it's going to go crazy like the last few trends have in technology. When you think of the Industrial Revolution, which I'm sure we'll touch on maybe next week, because I don't see how we can help to do that, but machines took over physical labor in the Industrial Revolution. You've got the steam engines, taking the car, took over the horse, and all the transportation and the steamboat. But with AI, we're competing the human brain. It's not just physical brawn, it's our brain that's competing with AI, and we can't. Now, it could mean that it overtakes us and lets us have more leisure time. But I read that economist John Maynard Keynes said he imagines by 2030 most people will work only 15 hours a week. But I'm thinking, well, what type of work is only going to involve 15 hours. What work would that be? Another argument is that the future is not in the distance. It's only one generation away, but that's not going to be my problem because I'll probably be dead by then, so I don't care. But it's been pointed out the Turing test, Alan Turing was a techno enthusiast, and he said, we may hope that machines will eventually compete with men in all purely intellectual fields. We can see plenty there that needs to be done, but he didn't consider consequences of that, of the intelligent machines. He just seems like he just had a thing for AI.
And I know you can't see what I just saw. Don't. It was milk churning butter.
No, don't. Now, check this out. According to the International Federation of Robotics, how freaking awesome is that name? Robotics will be the major force of job creation and will be directly responsible for the creation of nearly 3 million jobs. Particular of these will be the consumer electronics, food, solar and wind power, and battery manufacturing, complex battery manufacturing. There could be 3 to 5 million jobs that would not exist if automation and robotics had never been developed to enable cost-effective production to millions of these electronic products we use, from phones to PlayStations. So that's like a positive impact. Emerging countries have seen employment grow in manufacturing employment instead of decline, where you think the robots are taking over. But because robots are being used, their employment has risen by 20% in China and Brazil. So are they going to take our jobs? Are they going to create new jobs? There's arguments on both sides. I just don't see how we can know.
Well, just as a footnote, I can see, let's take fast food, for example. We're already starting to see kiosks replace employees in the front line. Yes, I'm not going to deny I don't like that a little bit myself. But I think also I saw another article about a robot, flipping burgers and preparing burgers in a fast food restaurant,
well, it doesn't have any...
So what I'm getting at is that you could pretty much, automate the whole store. And what you're doing is you're going to probably replace, let's say, an employee that was flipping burgers and all that, combining all those employees into maybe 1 or 2 employees, and they'd be like technicians to make sure that the equipment is working, or to load certain food items in so that the robots can prepare the meal or whatever, and to the kiosk to take money. So I can see what you would call a fast food AI restaurant situation coming, where humans would just be, there to ensure that the machine is working properly, and if somebody, just to maintain the actual building. But then again, if you even take it a step further, with
that's
things,
intriguing to me, though.
And take it a step further, it wouldn't be that much further along the lines to having robots maintain the grounds and everything of a restaurant, and then boom, there you go.
Where did we go? It was where we went to some fast food where you walked into a kiosk and you just put in your order.
Jack in a box.
Yeah. I liked that.
Well, hold that thought, Surlana, because we are at the top or the bottom of the hour, and when we return, we will talk more about AI, and Surlana will take some water. Yes, I'm doing it for the ratings. No, actually not at all.
I know why you're not. I mean, I know why you're not putting on Spotify because you want to get people to buy it. But like, could you put it on Spotify and just not tell anybody so I could use it?
I guess what Surlana is referring to is that the new music that's
back?
Yeah, we're back.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you didn't tell me.
So yeah, Surlana's over there. She's like,
I didn't know you were back. I apologize.
Well, good, but it's cool to catch you off guard every once in a while.
I was actually talking to him.
Yeah,
Believe
so.
that?
Yeah, I will get the new album on Spotify soon. I'm just...
You've milked all the money out of it.
Well, I wouldn't say I've built a lot of money out of it. But, I've learned that with Spaceboy music, it's not about the money, although it is nice to get it every once in a while. It's more about, if you enjoy jamming out to it, hey, cool. My music has been heard by somebody, hey, that's great. So, but it is what it is. And I'm getting old.
I'll be old next month.
Yes, it's not about you. So where are we at now,
thanks
Surlana?
A lot.
Where are we at, Surlana?
If we took a popularity poll right now.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that popularity poll.
Well, I want to talk about something. This person's name kept coming up, and I've never heard of him.
Who?
When I was researching this topic, this one person's name kept coming up in regards to future predictions about AI.
Okay.
And this man is called Nick Bostrom, and he is an Oxford philosopher, and he wrote a book called Super Intelligence. Now, in this book, he offers a lot of doomsday scenarios in regards to AI. One is that AI, as an example, he puts this for us, AI might decide one day that I want to tile all of the Earth's surface with solar panels, nuclear reactors, and supercomputing facilities with protruding cooling towers and space rocket launchers and other installations whereby the AI intends a long-term cumulative realization of its values. So I'm thinking what that means is it wants to transform the Earth so it can keep running and doesn't need us. It starts edging us out, meaning there's not a lot of biological, ecological spaces to live for us. So he says, Bostrom says, we are like children playing with a bomb when it comes to playing with AI or trying to work with AI or do that kind of stuff. Now, this argument says that it would take a long time, and we should be able to see this coming. If AI decides to solar panel the world, or we should be able to detect that that's going to happen. It makes it sound like we're just ignorant cave people, rather. I think we should be able to see that and stop it. But another counter argument says that in order for that to happen, that scenario, AI must have its own feelings. It must desire to do that, to even begin to counter our wishes and demands. So as soon as AI wants, desires, feels like it needs something of its own free will, then we can get concerned. So far, the only thing that can do that is biological life. Biological life forms, not just humans, but, plants, animals, insects. Michael Korost, he's a guy that wrote this article on the internet I found. He wrote this article called The Philosophical Argument Against AI Killing Us All. He wrote that the biochemistry going on in 1 cubic millimeter of dirt or 1/4 of a cubic millimeter of a mouse brain is orders of magnitude more complex than anything a computer has to face. So, again, maybe we've just seen too many Hollywood productions that scare us, like Westworld, both the movie and the TV series, The Matrix, the Terminator saga with its Skynet and Terminator robots, iRobot, that type of thing. Do we have this prejudice already built in because of all this stuff that Hollywood has thrown at us? Or are we more rational with that? I just, I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you think it's an optimist world, or do you think it's going to be more like the movies?
Well, I mean, I look for the optimistic view of the future.
Yeah, you do. You're so
I try, but there is a part of me that, in the back of my head, like a predator in the night, I know it's out there, that the bad side of AI, could ruin us.
Do you think we'll reach singularity? Let's just put it that way.
If we don't do ourselves in, I think
we'll self-destruct before we get to that point. You think?
I think that we'll self-destruct and we'll nuke ourselves. And thanks for all the fish and c'est la vie. But if it doesn't happen, and AI does come online, and we have computers, I just think of the possibilities of what could be, being able to write things that are going wrong in our world as far as environment concerns, population concerns. And I know you probably got some of this coming up too.
Yeah, well, those are good points.
And, it just, to be able to, to have somebody help us. Like, for example, the Japanese are definitely on this trend because they have a population that's aging, and they don't have much of a population, kids, if you will, growing up to support that population. So their big thing is to create robots to help them, assist them in their elderly age. So I can relate to that as well as you can, in the sense that we're getting older, we have no kids. And as we get older, I surely don't want to go to a nursing home or anything like that. I would want the ability to stay home and still try to be independent. Yeah, that's what I'm saying there.
These AI-driven robot caregivers will allow the elderly to stay in their own homes and make them have a little bit more sense of independence and freedom. Unlike what we saw last night on that show, Humans. We only got 3 or 4 episodes into the show, but the insurance company sent this, they're called synths, the AI robots, sent this middle-aged woman synth to this older guy. And it turns out it is the guy who created these synths in the first place, but even he couldn't escape the insurance company. And he sent this really super controlling female synth saying, you have to take your medicine, and he wouldn't do it. He's like, I must report any deviation from your medical care directly to your general practitioner. And so it got to be like she was so controlling of every aspect. It was like he felt like he was in jail. She overkill with the caregiving.
Well, I guess looking from the perspective that the insurance company is trying, I guess since it's in Great Britain, they have a national health care system. So the national health care system is trying to manage its expenditures on things, and it can't do that if people are willy-nilly doing their own thing. So by sending in a caregiver like this, helps to keep costs down and make sure that the patient does what it's supposed to do in order to follow the rules. And in other words, can you imagine, let's just say, a diabetic refusing to take meds and just eating cake 24/7 and
self-destructing almost.
Self-destructing, but still going to the doctor and wasting all this money and time that medication that could be properly put somewhere else. So in order to maximize. Hey, we won't go the cupcake route. Right? I'm just using this as an example. So you just sidetracked me. I guess the bottom line is so that the artificial intelligence basically makes sure to ensure that the patient adheres to the program. But yeah, she was kind of a tyrant.
Yeah, and just basically what we've seen on that show so far is. It's kind of creepy and disturbing, the sense, especially one of the main characters we're following, and some of them seem really sweet, but on the other hand, it seems like that one of the female senses, basically she said, I am a better mother than you because, I don't make mistakes, I don't, I can do all these tasks and do them on time and devote myself to them, but
I won't be tired.
I won't be tired. I won't be, impatient. I won't be angry. She goes, but I also won't be able to love these families.
That was interesting because, first, everything she was saying, it was kind of like, it was a hard pill for the character to swallow. And then once it got to the end, it was like, okay, at least I've got that.
So this family goes and buys this female scent to kind of help out around the house, kind of like a maid. But
come on, tell the truth. How did it happen? The wife was off on some working thing, and the husband.
That ticked me off. It's like she's out, as far as we know, doing her job, and I guess she's an attorney or something. And she had a court case that ran too long or went 2 days over, and the family's like, "Oh, you're never here, you're never home," blah 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 blah. And I'm like, whatever. So the father goes out and gets this hot looking scent, and
she's all right looking.
Well, come on, compared to but it's just you kind of, and he's like, oh, this is bee's knees. I don't have to do anything. He doesn't have to do anything anymore. And she does all the cooking, the cleaning, the washing, getting things organized. The little girl in the family loves her, and so the wife starts feeling like
left out.
She's left out. It's like, well, you're never here, so we're going to get this robot to do all the stuff you don't do. So she's starting to feel
left out,
and like she's not needed. And so it's almost like the synth is playing mind games with the wife, and the wife is played by Katherine Parkinson, who played Jen on the It Crowd. And we're not used to seeing her in a dramatic role. We're used to seeing her in comedic roles. So that's been really interesting. So, but again, it raises these concerns like, sure, we're a long way from that, probably. But that particular scent, there was something wrong with her to begin with. But because she keeps having these flashbacks. And finally, the older daughter in that family is starting to suspect something's up with it. So really interesting. So I guess we'll keep watching that. So
well, you bring up it brings up an interesting subject matter, and that is in the sense of the future of AI and how AIs are going to interact with us. Obviously at some point we're going to see AI robots that mimic and look exactly like us. I
just don't understand what the point of that is.
It's so that people feel comfortable around, people that, look like us and, can deal with us.
I'm just going to want to punch it in the face.
And that's going to bring up an interesting thing because, you talked about how, the show that we've been watching and I bring up this subject matter now in the sense of, how can I say? People are going to want to buy these companions in one way or another, whether it be for personal use and hubba kind of stuff, or just there was a lady we were watching on that show that she had a medical condition, so
she got in an accident and she's in a wheelchair, but I think she's supposed to be getting physical therapy so she can get back to walking again. But they had to get an AI strong enough to help take care of her and pick her up and take her to the restroom and do the physical therapy.
And that can be very intimate as far as...
And the husband was starting to feel
like kind of useless, exactly.
They're starting to make you feel useless,
I guess when I watched... there was a Matrix, I guess the animation, which had a pack of different things based on the Matrix movies. And, they had things where humans had... could you imagine marrying your AI?
Well, it makes me think of Krieger.
But that's holographic.
That's a holograph.
But, it gets into that subject, like when do we accept AI as... sentient beings.
Well, it's got to pass these tests, I guess.
Right, exactly. But can you imagine a world where they pass that test? And I may be getting ahead of myself because I see you're
segueing perfectly.
You're having that palsy moment, like
don't say stuff like that. The people don't know you're not being mean.
I'm not being mean.
That segues directly into the next section on where are we now, right now.
Right.
We're decades away from the strong AI, the kind we need to worry about. with Google's driverless cars and Apple's Siri and other automated assistants that show right now technology does limitations. Siri, I can't even use Siri. She doesn't understand my accent, so she's a little yikes. Anyway.
Well, she understands my accent.
Well, I think I'm more Southern sounding than you are.
Well, you are definitely. Only when I get tired they're tired. Do you actually start to hear my?
You don't sound like a Texan.
No,
I'm not a Texan though. But what are you doing?
Anyway,
AI can get thrown off by some situations, especially if it's not encountered before. That's the current AI we have. So this malevolent thinking AI that feels like we need to be eliminated could be a few decades off. It could be hundreds of years off. Now, according to Rodney Brooks, the founder of Rethink Robotics, he thinks it's not as close as these other guys are predicting. So his concern is not enough to halt these big corporations from seeking to develop that kind of AI. In fact, there's a race going on right now between Apple, Google, Amazon, IBM, and Facebook to build the best AI. And I don't know if these are the... you really want Google and Facebook to be having, these intelligent AI?
Well, the reality is Google is out there, and they are buying anything AI-related. They're gobbling it up.
Mm-hmm. Technologies, people are doing... programming. As you pointed out, though, Japan is, I think they're ahead of us in this field.
Mm-hmm.
They've already sold 1,000 units of Pepper. Pepper is a companion robot. It sold out in 1 minute in 2015. I don't know what Pepper does, but Pepper has been programmed to read human emotions, develop its own emotions in response, and help humans stay happy. What that entails, I don't know. And I kind of didn't want to dig too deep into that, to tell you the truth.
I'm playing the 2 Live Crew in my head right now.
Well, given their culture for big-eyed, big-breasted women, and, anyway, I'll just leave that alone. So how is this starting to change things, or will it change things? So this isn't going to go away. It's just going to keep getting developed, right? So companies are making AI research and development a priority, like Google and Facebook,
mm-hmm.
which is troubling because they already know enough about us. They're actively engaged in creating an intelligent machine. Now, we can only hope these companies are aligning their goals with human needs. Google, I really think Google or Facebook, or both of them together, those would be the two that would develop a Skynet.
Mm-hmm.
By accident or where those are the two I keep my eye on.
Well, it's a good point that you bring. 5-way Skynet is more real than you think. So give me a second to talk about it. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Robots and world domination have been here for a long time, and especially in Hollywood, and what-if scenarios. Right up there with zombie apocalypse. Walking Dead is tonight. Oh, can't wait to watch that tomorrow on Amazon. But anyway, I digress. And alien abduction movies. Go figure. As artificial intelligence advances, however, there's a lot of recent buzz about threats AI could pose in the very near future. An intelligent system like Skynet, aka Global Digital Defense Network, that features prominently in the Terminator franchise, starts to feel like an increasing real possibility. And here's a list. 1, it's being used in the military. As a dual-use technology capable of good and great harm.
What about AI?
Mm-hmm. And how it relates to Skynet. AI is as most controversial when it comes to its military applications. Battlefield robots and drones are key priorities, with other sci-fi style technologies like HAL, like from 2001 Space Odyssey. A suit, or HAL actually is, I mixed that up. Actually, HAL is actually a suit that gives the wearer the power of 10 men. that was, I guess, created by Boston Dynamics. Drones and robots that are able to make kill decision without any human interaction whatsoever will figure centrally into the international conversation about ethics and the nature of modern warfare. They evolve quickly. Remember how we're talking about how everything seems to double every so often? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's definitely footage out there where they have these guys, showing robots how they're able to navigate through obstacles. It's basically it's Moore's law. Famously estimates the computer power approximately doubles every 18 months. By that measure, a computer with the processing power of the human brain could be a reality as close as 2025. So, you get that. They're getting smarter. While artificial intelligence is quickly reaching comparable computing speeds, one of its biggest challenges is developing the kind of complex processing that looks so easy when humans do it. So, when they do it and it looks like humans, that's something to take a look at. And of course, when you're dealing with robots, the Skynet thing, it's starting to look like us. Although not exactly like the Terminator, like Schwarzenegger status and the muscles and all that stuff. These robots in Japan are starting to look eerily like us, and follow expressions.
They're creepy.
They're
creepy.
Mission accomplished. Now we have our nightmares with robots almost looking like us, and of course, I was talking about there is an elite opposition is forming against AI.
The Luddites.
Yeah, exactly. Stephen Hawking, has warned us about things.
Well, he's not a Luddite, though.
Well, but he is one person who's warned us, and then
he's tried to warn us about several things. What does he
aliens,
know? He's not
this,
telling.
That, another. So, I mean, you've got at least 5 things right there that is very similar to the way Skynet is more real than you think. It's out there. It can have. Once again, it comes back to how do we raise the child? Do we raise it by beating it and giving it negative input and all this other stuff, and to where the child grows up to be this tyrant?
Harsh villain.
Or do we positively reinforce good values and teach it the difference between wrong and right, and hope that the child grows up to be something that...
but what if the people who are programming don't really know the real good...
Well, that is a problem, because, going back to Google, they are working on this one robot that I got...
Don't trust Google's motives.
And, supposedly it's for peaceful means, but when you watch the video, you see things like Lockheed Martin. And I'm trying to think of one of the other ones that Halliburton.
All those ones are involved in deep black budget programs.
Yeah, so, hey, well, the people that are throwing money at this thing, they're going to want to expect some kind of return. I mean, we've seen so many different movies where you've got the big, powerful, wealthy guy who's creating a product, and all of a sudden the government comes in and said, well, we've been funding your project, and now we have the right to take it away from you. So, yes,
I've heard about that.
That's the situations that cause for concern.
Well, let's see. Hold on, I lost my thing. Well, we're going to have AI-controlled machines that could take over skilled jobs, but give us back some others. AI will take more sales jobs in the Wall Street sector because it will eliminate some of that less than legal stuff that might have been going on. Deliveries can be done by drones that are piloted by AI. AI will learn to read us, our faces, our wants and needs, our purchasing, so it can start helping predict what kind of brands we buy, what clothes we wear, to better sell us products. Although I wonder, why don't they just come to my house or go right into my bank account and take what they want? AI is being used to identify terrorists. they're trying to make more, they want driverless cars. So AI would have to be doing that.
That's something, driverless cars seems to be coming. Some have theorized that you won't own a car anymore.
Will own you.
No, basically, when you need a car, you just
walk out the street and hop in.
You dial up the internet and say, hey, I need a car at such and such a time to take me wherever. And
I don't like that.
And the car will pick you up, and you will not drive it. It'll drive you to where you need to go. Yeah, a lot of that. Some of that is coming where they're predicting that in the future. And, of course, something like that would be AI controlled. So,
It'd have to be. Mm-hmm. Robotic limbs for amputees that have AI built in the limbs.
Mm-hmm. There's many possibilities there. In fact, let's cover some of those possibilities in the next hour.
No problem.
Before we do, hey, Space Cadets, I hope you're having a great evening tonight. Hey, we just want to know, would you like to call in? If so, that number is 844-734-7286.
But not right this second.
Not this second, but if you want to call in...
After the break.
Just let us know in the chat line. We're waiting for your answers. But until then...
Yeah, give me 2 minutes.
Groove out to Spaceboy music. listening to Spaceboy Universe. Sorry, so many Spaceboys, too many Steves in the room.
Yeah.
You're listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network, and I am Spaceboy, and...
Oh, Surlana, not that anyone cares.
Oh,
Anyway.
whatever. Everybody knows that you're the brains behind this operation.
Well, honestly, that is true.
Anyway.
And we already have a call.
All right, put the caller on. Caller, you're on the air.
Oh, boy, that was quick. Hello, this is Dino.
Hey,
How
Dino.
are you tonight?
Fantastic. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. This is quite an interesting subject, and a couple of thoughts came my way about AI. We've been playing around and kidding around in the chat, but the whole idea that this new, supposedly, I just saw on the internet, this new state of matter, different phase, not a state, a different phase. You have, solid, liquid, gas, plasma, and now they claim that they have found this quantum ability to make what they call it crystal time. Is that how if I'm remembering, I just read about it a couple of days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this crystal time crystal, whatever it is, would mean that once matter gets into this state, it somehow has no mass, and they say that this will allow them to actually create quantum computing. And, with my limited physics knowledge, I would just simply say that if that comes about, then you would have, an entity, artificial, Star Trek, much like Data or the character Data, they, even after chips are taken out and all, it seems like some residual of ability to have emotion, perhaps, or residual ability to have self-preservation would come about. What do you think about that?
Well, the science on that is very intriguing. I know for some time, we've been moving to quantum computing, and to imagine, I guess what it comes down to is to imagine both states on and off at the same time. I just look forward to seeing what comes out of that.
I have no concept of what anything that means. I apologize.
That's okay. It can be confusing. You have to read a lot of different articles, and see visual demonstrations. But the other thing that comes to mind is, Isaac Asimov, when he wrote his science fiction, he wasn't, playing around. He definitely had the rules. I think it was the 3 rules of robotics, that, a robot could never harm an individual. Again, if you could put that kind of a limitation, that they would had to save a human being. I'm forgetting them now, but you had to interact, and the 3rd rule was the only time you could, as a robot, take life is if it had to be to save a life or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically,
rule 1 and 2 in
it's
place.
a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to become to harm. A robot must obey orders given by human beings except where such orders would conflict with the first law, and then a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection doesn't conflict with the first and the second law.
Exactly. So that's one thing. I mean, definitely, maybe I won't be around, or you guys, but definitely that would be desirable to put that in any kind of artificial intelligence. But again, the question comes up, what I raised in the first place, which is, could it be overridden by, once, and that's the other thing, once AI starts designing other AI, because they'll get to a point where they're supposedly beyond our capabilities and can design a more efficient, whether it be it a robot, machine, or a thinking computer. And then at that point, all bets are off. I mean, you have to hope that they would follow the Asimov laws that were put in to the Genesis unit, so to speak. But the offshoots of that, it's like kids nowadays, no respect,
Mm-hmm.
Well, Data had an off switch, and he never told anyone except the doctor, because it was a reason he had to tell her. And she's like, I didn't know you had this. He goes, well, look, if you had an off switch, would you tell anybody?
Yeah, exactly. And that did happen with with Data, that there was a certain place you could touch him and it would shut him down. But he kept that very close to the vest,
Well, I was going to add, you bring up the subject of AI and, that let's say once AI becomes, what's to stop it to rewrite its program to create the next evolution of AI? So,
Exactly. That was what I was... Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So then you're dealing with something that... far exceeds what we can ever imagine, and it all actually gets into a stage where I saw. I know they used a stair system method to describe all this, like a cat, and then the monkey, and then the human, kind of on this verge of of knowledge and being able to interact with the world, and then you have us creating AI, which would be the next step up. But then AI being able to self-replicate itself to a point where, it could go way beyond, the evolution of the stair system. And so then that you kind of wonder, an AI is capable of creating or figuring out the universal theory of everything and becoming infinite and godlike in a lot of ways. So that is something to worry about. We become...
Yeah, to even going beyond the physical. Right? If it gets to a point where it can evolve that highly and design and redesign and better itself, why does it need to even be in a material state?
Right. And
another thing that comes... Go ahead.
I was going to say, and as although that may sound scary in some sense, it's kind of exciting because, we could actually see, my optimistic hope would see something like that helping us to evolve beyond what we have here, maybe beyond the, I guess the physical, and going beyond what we know as being trapped in this earthly plane kind of situation.
Exactly.
How to break through
and
to
two
another
other
dimension.
Quick points. Mm-hmm. Yeah, another dimension. Yeah, and another thing that comes up. I happen to be lucky enough to be in a scene of the Robin Williams film Bicentennial Man. It's a very long movie. If you ever want to watch it, I think it's over 2 hours, but it's got some fun parts and all. But it addresses this issue because the main theme is this is an android that's just a run-of-the-mill factory android to help a family that outlives its original owners and is upgraded to the point where it wants to become more human and tries to look like humans and blah, 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 and even later on falls in love with a human. And it addresses the part of that thing about what is legally a human under the law and what is legal, what is a human under I guess, ethics or morals. Have you seen the movie, either of you?
Oh, most definitely. I guess as you get through, he basically replaces a lot of his parts to be very human, and then ultimately he wants the choice of to be able to die. And spoilers, I'm sorry, everyone, but it is a long movie. But it is a fascinating movie to point out the fact that. There needs to be law, not necessarily laws, but rules to minimize harm, to allow AI to grow. And I think it's important that if we don't properly nurture AI in the right direction, then we might get the doomsday scenarios that everybody fears about. But, the unknown, people fear the unknown because it's
unknown.
It's unknown. They're not knowledgeable. Once we become knowledgeable of the subject, then we become
That's what we try
better
to do
prepare for
with Spaceboy Universe.
Yeah, well, knowledge is power. And so that's how I think that the approach needs to be taken is that, sure, we have an unknown. Let's learn about it. Let's make sure that those fears that we might have don't happen by, nurturing the AI into a direction that it can be very effective.
And then as you branch off from this area of AI, that potential future, you look at, I hate to use science fiction, but most people have seen this if they have not read the book, Battlestar Galactica, especially the second or third incarnation of it that was done as a series, with Edward James Olmos, and that showed how AI became so powerful that it actually started hunting down man, wanted to get rid of it, but yet was evolving to become a clone of a human, so to speak, you know. And then the third movie that was again based on a book was AI, Spielberg's AI, where a little boy is a android, and what when civilization is destroyed, what he yearns to be.
Right.
So there are many ways it could go. It could go a violent way. It could go, a doomsday scenario. It could go, it's mind-boggling and it's scary. I mean, personally, I would like to see a little bit more leisure time, not too much, but for people. I would like to see full part-time employment for people who want to work. And I would like to see driverless cars, for me, on the freeway. I love driving off-road, or on streets and such, I can deal with. But just because I had a mother who was injured, and I know people who are killed in auto accidents, that on our freeways around the world, if you could just click into a line if you're going to be an individual car and have that handled, I'm sure it would be safer. People wouldn't be cutting in front of you on rainy days, crashing like they do when I tried to get to work the other day. And, it was stupid driver mistake that causes hardship and delay for the
I'm in favor of
many.
it on major highways and interstates, but on the surface streets, I would like just see regular driving, if that's possible.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I agree with
you.
you.
That's the thing, is that we like clever tools, many of us. I mean, whether it's in the kitchen or, something you're doing. I mean, heck, I recently bought an electric bicycle because I love biking, and I used to be a purist. Oh, no, we don't need that. And yet, when you got to go up some hills and you're sore like heck the next day, you want to go out for a bike ride. You want some exercise, but you don't want to die, for the effort. So that is where I encourage technology. But when it's thinking technology, we better, well, again, maybe you're right, we won't be around to see it, but it's going to start, and these things have to be addressed, and they have to be addressed from an ethical standpoint, a legal standpoint, and even probably a religious standpoint.
Well, the way things have been described, things are changing at about a yearly pace. So I guess it was said that it eventually, within pretty soon, that it will get to a point where, it'll get down to from day to day that we will not be able to keep up with it because of technology changing so quick. Hey, Dino, can you hold on for just a second? We're going to take a break a little bit early, but when we come back, we'll talk more with Dino and talk more about AI, and hopefully Surlana will pop back up, so don't go anywhere. And you're listening to Spaceboy Universe. I am Spaceboy, and Surlana has stepped away momentarily. She should be back very shortly, but still, on the phone, we have Dino. And Dino, what else is on your mind, my friend?
I have nothing else to say.
What?
No, I think...
I was going to say, I find that hard to believe, Dino.
It's a joke. So where we're left off was that, there are different things that must, not just should, but must be considered as we move very quickly, as you said, toward developing more and more complex thinking machines. And someone had said earlier on the chat that, we can't even get robots to walk. But I saw a video in the last couple of weeks, and I forget the name. I guess it was a robot that was designed for the military, they said, and the thing had a couple of legs and a couple of expenditure hand type things and two wheels on it.
Yes, I saw that.
And you saw that? It was jumping up on tables and stopping on a dime, and it didn't look too pretty, but boy, it was pretty agile.
All I could think was, there is no way I can definitely outrun that thing.
Oh no! Or how do you fight it off? The thing weighs a couple of 100 pounds, and it's like Jean Vito hitting you with a tackle.
But I saw that one, but they do have some robots that are on legs and arms, and they look kind of like some of the robots I've seen on what was it that I was looking at? Matt Damon's movie Elysium or something like that. Where they had law enforcement robots, and then there was another movie. I'm trying to think of what the other movie was. That
the day the
Chappie,
Earth
that's
Stood Still
it.
was the original movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. If you got Klaatu's, I mentioned that earlier in the chat. If you have Klaatu's, it's a the moon being in Virgo tonight. It is a very Virgo efficient way to deal with law enforcement. But then again, the question comes up. It's like some poor street kid that maybe has an attitude but wouldn't hurt anybody getting shot because they went in their pocket, and you're wondering whether, I guess a cop nowadays fears for their life, so maybe emotion and adrenaline goes in. But I don't know. I don't know if I want the cop to be the judge on the street, whether it's a person or
RoboCop.
A robot.
Mm-hmm. Well,
what's that?
RoboCop.
RoboCop is what you're saying.
Instant justice.
Yes, well, RoboCop, which originally from Klaatu and the day the Earth stood still, whereas he said on his home planet they had given over control pretty much to these robots. But I think there was somewhere it was mentioned that they make judgments also. They're on the street reinforcing, but then they also are a judge, and that's scary, know.
I could see where that would be scary, where we're totally trying to give away certain rights to a machine to protect us. So, yeah, it's a tough call, and like I said, if we don't nurture AI in the right direction, it can have some bad consequences.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, do we law? Then this gets into philosophy, but law is law black and white. If you talk to a person who considers themselves a political conservative, I think they would say so. But as you move around the political spectrum, Dan Sheehan kind of mentions some of this about how your political influence is affected by your view of what the universe is and what God is and all this. So if that's the case, do you want a machine or a robot, even though it has all the laws as they're written and as they're intended? How do you determine is judgment black or white, or are there gray areas?
Well, it reminds me of a news article I read today about this lady who was given a parking ticket and went in front of the magistrate, and basically he took one look at the ticket and pretty much dismissed it. And what had happened was the parking area that the lady was going to park in, well, she had pulled into the parking spot And it was only free parking from 10 o'clock in the morning to a certain time period. Well, she pulled up, and the officer gave her a ticket saying that it was 2 minutes till 10 o'clock, and that's how she got the ticket. Well, according to her, I guess her clock on her dash, it had said 10 o'clock, and that's why she parked there. So that gray area is even though it's kind of a real basic case situation, it kind of points out that if you have a machine that, looks at black and white, you get a ticket because you parked there because, it's not, according to that time for who gave the ticket, was like 2 minutes till, even though your clock was 2 minutes fast or whatever. Maybe your clock was correct and the officer's clock was off. But neither here or there, but it proves an example of black and white. What happened was the judge dismissed. He thought it was funny, and he went ahead and went beyond the gray area, so to speak.
Oh yeah, and that's what we're talking about. But we, on a little tangent there, that exact thing happened to me with parking tickets years ago, and we used to have, before the city I lived in, San Francisco, had police. The police used to handle all the parking tickets, but it was changed many years ago over to a traffic. It's called the Metropolitan Traffic Agency. It's just another damn agency, but it took away the power from the cops. Well, what happened is I parked on a street that didn't have street sweeping or didn't want people there after midnight. But again, this is where the black and white, maybe this is the reverse, but the meter person, when I came and got the ticket, it was already after midnight, but the ticket was written up for 12 midnight. I saw the sign said 12:01, and I didn't even have to see a judge. I sent it in writing. I said, look, the ticket says 12. The street cleaning sign, here's a picture of it, doesn't say 12:01, and it was dismissed without even talking. So I don't know how a quantum computer would handle that.
Well, we would hope that quantum computer would be benevolent and allow for a kind of a gray area. So, it's still a future that I hate to say it like this. It's like we shouldn't take AI as looking at it as the far distant future, because it's practically on our doorstep. With the way things, going back to Moore's law, things doubling and just we often talk about life being, life seems to be going by so quickly and so fast. And in a lot of ways it is, because the way things are going technology-wise, it's amazing to look back to, 2005 in technology in general. We hadn't quite got the iPhone yet, and now look at what we have. We have iPhones that everybody's walking around looking at their screens and yada yada yada. But that's one example of technology just going super speed, and so the future is pretty much now.
Wi-Fi is everywhere. For example, it used to be you had to go to a hotspot. It seems to be you go on a bus, a plane. It's everywhere. Mm-hmm. So our technology can follow us everywhere.
Right. That is a good example here in Houston. I can Xfinity. And if you have an Xfinity account, Comcast account, if you see the Wi-Fi signal that says Xfinity, you can log into that signal. So you can practically, not if you didn't want to use data on your phone, like if you had Sprint or AT&T or whatever, and you saw that Xfinity Wi-Fi spot, you can connect to it. Whereas I do recall not that long ago, you really didn't have that ability to, just connect anywhere. You had to be at like maybe a coffee shop or someplace specific like that. But great examples of the future being now.
And then one other thing, just to go back to the name of the movie AI with the android boy, spoiler alert. So, but at the end of that movie, when the extraterrestrials come and discover the boy, what do they give him? You know,
Mhm.
they give him the emotional, even what he believes to be the emotional attachment he wants with, I guess it was his mother, right?
Right.
Or who he believed to be. So, again, this could go, it's a very circular argument because does AI, if it gets so advanced, does it want to do away with the humanity, or does it want to become the humanity? After it gets to a certain number of upgrades, does it realize, yes, humans are flawed, but yet is there a balance and a perfection in the flaws? It's heavy stuff.
It is. It is a lot to think about. I mean, we're talking about creating, in some aspects, sentient life. Something that can, do its own. It's like playing God, and the ramifications of our creation. Will it kill us? Will it be a loving child to us as a humanity, as that is concerned? I mean, we really don't know. We're looking out the door into an unknown future. But once again, as the unknown as it may be and scary, the only way to combat that is through knowledge and making sure that we're equipped with the knowledge of going forward.
Well, I had one more example, and I can't remember. It was a book, and it might not have been a very famous author. I picked up years ago. It was a paperback. But at any rate, it had a guy who goes to another planet. There was some other plot in the story. But when he gets to this planet where a guy he knew in the past who had left Earth, I believe it was, and he got to this planet, and he had designed several androids to keep him company on this planet. And I guess he had died. But he obviously made very attractive female companions. He had a lot of female, and they were transparent. They looked like humans. They had bodies, but they ran around and they were transparent. You could see the biological and the mechanical parts within them. But he had raised them like children, and they loved him, and he had kind of a father, quote, / lover relationship with one who was still there when this man arrived, and he learned that this man was using them from everything from like children to sexual companions. It was very strange, but it definitely showed that at the end of this story, this one favored android, who was, I guess, the creator's girlfriend and child at the same time, killed herself because as she began to realize, I mean, sex was no big thing for her, and that's something that would be very strange, a world without sex. Would androids get hot wires? I don't know. But she realized that there was nothing, that she was basically, even though she was better than humans, she was a slave to humans in many ways, and ended up jumping off a high-rise and destroying herself. So it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. Again, it's got artificial, but it has intelligence in the title. So intelligence can lead to insanity or who knows what,
Indeed. So, you have anything to add to that? Or?
No, I was just listening.
Well, it's just very stimulating. This is a very good show, and
I'm glad you think so.
We all talk about it.
Well, we wanted to change it up because we have done the Fringe solid for a while, and now we're back into some other topics. But not to say we won't circle back, but these are other topics that the universe likes to talk about.
Okay. Well, I guess as what is that saying? It says. From one movie. That was the other one I wanted to mention, was Blade Runner.
Oh, yeah, I remember you mentioning that in chat. Go ahead.
That Blade Runner, that the whole premise there was that the humans I guess they kind of feared AI. They used it when they could, but when AI went rogue, it was the AI that was the fugitive from and was trying to be destroyed by humans. So that, again, these can go either way. So it's just something to think about, and hopefully not worry about it. And I will leave you with that saying from, and someone in chat will know the book, where it said, do computers dream of wires? Do they dream? And if they dream, do they dream of wires? So have a good night.
You too, Dino,
You too, Dino.
And we'll look into the mail situation.
No problem. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Always a great call from Dino.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at is there another call there, or?
No.
Okay. So, you refreshed?
Look at my notes.
Yeah, I was just saying, are you refreshed? You ready to look back at your notes?
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just looking at, what we can look forward to. What AI can do for us is it can look at climate change. And it can analyze trends and process statistics and maybe come up with solutions to climate change. But then, again, what if that malfunctions and decides that, well, there would be less climate change if there were no humans because we're the problem or the reason for climate change. So we already mentioned robots for elder care. A good application for AI-driven robots would be bomb defusing and welding in hard-to-reach or dangerous places. We talked about the trucks on the road being driverless, but that could have some consequences. Uber. You know Uber?
Mm-hmm.
Uber wants to run a fleet of self-driving cars. That's kind of interesting. Canada, our favorite alternative to America, Canada wants to use drones for mail delivery to rural places in Canada.
Well, I'm sure Ty can tell us how,
Well, we can send a drone to Ty with stuff. AI can replace human doctors. They can be better diagnosticians and better at giving legal assistance and advice. They're no Saul Goodman. AI is a better mathematician, and it's also better at stock trading.
Well, that's true because, before, you remember seeing all these videos of when they would show the stock trades and you had guys on 4 different phones and stuff like that. Well, all that is managed by an AI-type computer now, and it makes it more efficient. So, yes.
It can actually help you find another job after it's taken the one you already had. So it can sit there and scour the internet for job opportunities 24/7 and bring them all to you. I think a really good application for it will be to explore space and go to Mars before we can.
That is a good subject you brought up because that's immediately what I started thinking about AI and being able to send artificial intelligent robots to the frontier of space. To be, in other words, can you imagine sending a group of AI robots to set up a base, like on the moon, for example, as a starter, and then be the front point guard, if you will, to humanity arriving?
Here's another thought. This is probably more deep stuff here. Well, while I was doing this at work, I wondered, could a robot do my job? And basically down to copy pasting, but let's say, okay, can you make an artificial intelligence machine, that says, hey, I would, and if I had this machine, you know what I'd call it? I would call it Robocasso.
Okay.
I would say, hey, Robocasso, I need an 11 by 17 inch flyer. Here's the information I want on it. Can you create something for this? And so, can AI be artistic?
Well,
can it create of its own, without input?
You're describing something where we're very close, or things that we're doing where you verbally give certain commands. Like, for example, you tell a computer, well, you log in here, or like, for example, log into a computer and then type up a Word document, blah, blah, blah. We're very close to that right now. And so
it doesn't have to know the steps. It just knows the concept.
The concept. In other words, you could tell a computer, once again.
You don't tell it the steps. It already knows it.
It already knows it. Just, hey, I need this flyer and here's the dimensions. Create blah,
here's
blah,
the
blah.
content. But you make the layout and the judgment calls.
And I kind of get the impression that, deep what is it for Google has that's really fascinating?
There's two of them. There's Deep Blue and there's Deep something else.
Well, whatever that one is where, like, for example, they took dogs and put it in the picture, and it's just really whacked out like somebody on acid or something.
I keep thinking of Deep Hurting, but that's an old Mystery Science Theater reference.
But, so it's closer than you think.
Can it be improvisational and artistic? Can it create artwork? But then, of course, art is subjective,
Pollock.
Yeah. I just did a Jackson Pollock. Anyway, so let's look at some stuff that happened, or is happening. Remember Tay?
Yeah, we remember that.
That's a bit of fun. We'll just have a bit of fun real quick.
Sure.
Microsoft had an unexpectedly hilarious attempt at artificial intelligence in the form of a chat/Twitter bot named Tay. They ended up having to delete that Twitter account after it turned into a Hitler-praising, sex-promoting, controversial troll. But like most people under the age of 17, it was supposed to, the goal of Tay, Microsoft said, was to have her speak or tweet like a teenage girl. Well, they nailed it. Apparently, Microsoft hasn't spent any time online reading general internet comments on YouTube, Twitter. That is exactly how people behave. Not all people, but the majority of what you see is this troll-like behavior.
Typing stuff that not thinking before they type.
Or no, they know exactly what they're doing. Perhaps the general populace was not the best way to unleash this thing, because it was supposed to learn from other tweets, and basically what people would do was say, "Hey Tay, can you tweet this?" And she would. So people were tweeting bad stuff at her, rather. So it's a proof of concept. They wanted it to learn natural language and behaviors, and it did it, by gum. Unfortunately, the behaviors were reprehensible coming from other humans, so Microsoft should, in a sense, be rejoicing. It's a PR nightmare, politically incorrect for them, but it worked, I think. Users could command Tay to repeat their own statements, and she would do that, and then it just shows that humans are a bad influence. And why couldn't Microsoft predict that would happen? Columnist John West sums this up when he says, "Unless we find a way to design inclusivity and empathy, our machine creations won't be dangerous. They'll also be unpleasant to be around," like Tay. On the other side, this is probably something good. This is happening right now. Facebook is using artificial intelligence to help with suicide prevention.
Mm-hmm.
And they've already been doing this for a while. They're using it to identify and support at-risk Facebook users who may be suicidal. And they do this saying, because experts say that one of the best ways to help prevent suicide is for those in distress to hear from people who care about them. So Facebook's been providing suicide prevention tools over the last 10 years, and I didn't know that. So they offer tips on how to find support. They monitor posts, and they report posts that seem like they're about self-harm and other suicide-related content. They're testing AI on a machine that will use an algorithm to learn how to spot posts about suicide or self-harm, and they'll flag these posts so that a human team can determine how to proceed. So I don't know if you call that a really invasive of privacy or a good thing to try to help people stay alive. So, and we've already got Siri, Google Now, Cortana, and Alexa. We've already talked about that. We've talked about video games, and we talked about Far Cry and Call of Duty and what they're doing. Of course, smart cars. What Google's doing is they've got an algorithm to let self-driving cars learn how to drive the same way we've learned how to drive. The idea is that eventually the car will be able to look at a situation, like at the road ahead of it, and make decisions based on what it sees, like we do, and that helps it learn in the process, and I think it will be better than us. But here's the thing. Smart cars is, we'll find all that, but what if you've got, pardon me for saying this, diarrhea, and you got to get somewhere fast? I mean, can you have an override? Is there a diarrhea override? are people thinking about all this stuff when they, can they build a porta potty in the thing? So, another thing that there's happening right now is purchase predictions. Like, imagine this: if Amazon, Target, and all these people can anticipate your needs, your purchase needs, they can make a fortune. So, of course, they're looking into this. Like they're not invasive enough. They don't have this in place just yet. I mean, perfectly, like they want. But when we go into a brick and mortar store and, you go and you make your purchases and they spit out these coupons at the end, that comes from AI. Because they're all based on purchases you've made. So they're a result of analytical algorithms. And it's a way of targeting your needs, which, again, seems a little invasive. But, again, why not just come to my house, take the money out of my pocket?
Well, look at it from a business standpoint. To be more efficient, if you didn't have to buy stock referring to, like, let's just say cereal, and you knew that that brand X sold more than brand Y, and that's what customers
you just say it's business.
Yeah, it's business where they just stock what is needed and replenish accordingly.
Yeah. Well, AI already is working for us in detecting fraud on our credit cards and constantly monitoring our purchases and seeing what's going on. They do online customer support and chat bots. You'll go to a website and there'll be like a little chat thing already there. That's usually what that is, and it can understand natural language. So, of course, Pinterest, Instagram, Snapchat are all using a form of AI, machine learning, recognize faces and objects and pins for Pinterest. Snapchat, those cute filters everybody uses to put on their face that follows your face. That is artificial intelligence. Now, here's something I didn't know that really kind of shocked me, but now that I know about it, I'm like, oh, of course. Okay. Light news reporting. Artificial intelligence programs can write news stories. AP, Fox, and Yahoo all use AI to write simple stories for financial summaries, sports recaps, and fantasy sports reports. Light, fluffy stuff, not the investigative, in-depth stuff. Just simple articles with facts that do not require synthesis, or a lot of nuance or, Automated Insights is the name of the company that makes wordsmith software that e-commerce, financial, real estate, and other industries are using to make these, kind of fluff articles that don't require, tons of fact checking and nuance. And of course, AI is already doing surveillance. It's on monitors and cameras. It can make sense. It makes more sense than having one human person trying to watch multiple monitors at one time. So AI can be trained to see threats, warning signs, and it can alert security officers. But the problem with this is it's not very sophisticated right now. It's kind of limited in what it can interpret and see. But it's emerging. Of course, we already experienced this. Music and movies, if you've got Spotify, Pandora, or Netflix, you're already dealing with AI, although it's very, very simple. This is the narrow AI. It monitors your choices based on what you've watched or listened to, and it puts them into an algorithm, and it learns your preferences, and it spits back recommendations based on what you might be interested in, but it's not perfect. Like the example they cite here is like maybe for Spotify. Let's say you have a song that might have quote-unquote driving bass, dynamic vocals, and guitar riffs listed as characteristics of the song. And if you like that song, you probably like other songs that include the same characteristics, but that may not necessarily be true, because again, it's subjective, We've already got devices in our home, and you can purchase quote-unquote smart devices, but as we've learned today, earlier in the show, these are the ones you do need to worry about for as vulnerabilities for privacy issues.
And hackability.
Hackability, CIA. And it's not just malicious people. It's not like it's the Russians. It's not just some snot-nosed kid. It's our own government. Some of these devices can help you save money.
Mm-hmm.
And appliances can have these AI in them that can sense when you're in a room, turn themselves on automatically. based on what you're doing. Lighting is a big area where AI is really getting into. Like when you come into a room and what you're doing, it can turn on and adjust the level of the lighting. It's nearly limitless what it can do there. And again, can be hacked. My concern is, can it malfunction our appliances in such a way as to render them unusable? Can it screw up your lighting to where it's broken and now you got to get somebody to come in to fix it? I don't feel like I need any of that in our home. The only thing I want is that remote Wi-Fi controlled programmable crock pot. But that's all I want. And if it starts tattling on me to the CIA or some other corporation, I'm going to throw it into a fire pit. So it's the only thing I want. But anyway, to sum up, I'm not worried about sentient feeling, IA, or singularity. I do believe that's kind of the stuff of fantasy. And it makes for great movies, TV, and book subject matter. I'll probably be long dead before this becomes an issue, thank God. I do see the use of AI right now that's very good and useful, but there's a lot of privacy concerns and vulnerabilities that bother me, and I could almost just do without it. But I don't need devices in my home to watch me or listen to me, whether they're doing their job or it's the government. I don't worry about. I worry about things I own that are controlled by AI that can be vulnerable to hacking. That I guess our phones would be one thing. That's like the main thing they like to get in your conversations. And if we get a new TV, there may be devices on that. Like I said, we don't have the smart TV right now. But as I said before with Dino, I'm in favor of driverless cars on major interstates like I-10, I-59, 45, but only if there's like a couple of dedicated lanes and you still have some lanes for normal driving. It should be mandatory, I think. This is my personal opinion. Okay, should be mandatory if you have more than 3 accidents in a year, then that year and then maybe the next one, you have to take a driving course that measures your blood pressure, anxiety, and anger levels. And if you fail, you have to spend a year in a driverless car. If you have a DUI, that's 5 years in a driverless car. You don't get to drive your own car. And if you have a DUI where you killed other people in your car or the other car you hit, you never drive on your own again. You're always going to be in a driverless car.
Okay.
And so AI is here to stay. We can't stop it. But what we can do is educate ourselves by keeping up with the latest news and advancements. We don't want anyone doing a Skynet number or a Matrix thing, so we need to stay on top of this. We need to stay informed. We need to keep these companies like Google and whoever else accountable for ethics in the development. If not, I kind of look forward to meeting our robot overlords, and I will leave you with this quote by Kenneth Brandt. The human brain is a fantastic tool for general learning. We won't replace it in that capacity very soon.
My final thoughts are basically I look forward to the future when it comes to AI. Sure, we will have some stumbling blocks as we move towards the future, but it seems like there are some who are trying to put in to risk harm, to put in certain things, ethics, to allow AI to develop with certain laws, if you will. So with that said, I look forward to, the future I've been looking forward to for some time. Now, also tying into the fact of having AI listen, watch, and all that, I have to put it in a different perspective. I've watched Star Trek all this time. I didn't have a problem with them talking to computers and computers listening to them. Is that much different than now? Sure, in order for AI to be more effective, they're going to need to listen. They're going to need to watch. They're going to need to do these things.
Although the enterprise computer did evolve one time.
So basically, it's, I hate to say it, in order for that kind of future, then there's going to be some privacy that we need to give up to the AI. But I'm not...
I don't want to.
Thank you, Surlana. Can I? And so, moving towards the future, I think that we'll just have to see how one step gets in front of the next one. So, on that magical note, we're at that time where we do housekeeping. Where are we at on that, Surlana?
Like for the next week.
Mm-hmm.
You've got on the board for March 18th, yeah? Captains of the Industrial Age. You'll have to explain more about that.
Yeah, people like Rockefeller,
J.P. Morgan, Chase.
So different people during that era who brought us into the Industrial Revolution.
The ones to blame.
Well, depending on how you look at it, the ones we should be thankful for, or the ones we hate for what they caused and did to us. But either way you slice it, it'll be an interesting topic about history. Once again, the captains of industry. Also, I believe we're supposed to be heading out to see.
Oh yes.
Yeah, the Bloglefish team. Blargle. How am I not saying that right? Blargle.
You're saying Bloggle. It doesn't matter. It's
okay.
Blargle.
Well, anyway, we're going to go check them out next Saturday, and we'll be
that'll be cool.
Filming and doing our normal stuff, and seeing, bringing a conclusion maybe to our reporting that we've done
for competition
for the competition
season.
First Texas.
Good stuff. I'm really a big supporter of the First in Texas Robotic Championship.
So my last goodie for tonight is something like this. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire on the shoulder of Orion. I've watched sea beams glitter in the dark. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in the rain. Time to die.
Hysterical.
On that note, say goodnight, Surlana.
Spaceboy Universe is hosted by Spaceboy and Surlana. Executive producer is Surlana. Social media producer is Dennis Koch. Associate producer is Lee Ann Cordes. Music production is Spaceboy of SpaceboyMusic.com. Special thanks goes out to Lee Ann K, K28, Mark S, and Bob N. This has been a Spaceboy Universe production. Support the universe by exploring Spaceboy Universe with Spaceboy and Surlana. Sweet dreams, Space Cadets.